All right, welcome to Three Blondes, One Battle. How are you, ladies?
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. So today I thought we could talk about the number one kind of issue with MS. I think besides I feel like a lot of people get migraines and like that vertigo stuff, but I do think the main remember when we were first diagnosed, like the first thing you think of, what's the first thing you think of when you heard MS? Just curious.
I had no clue what it was.
No clue what it was either.
Really? Okay, so I thought wheelchair. Like wheelchair, like I thought, like I immediately was like, Lord have mercy, wheelchair. Like I thought legs.
Yeah. No, you're right. After I like immediately when I heard the word, but then after like thinking about it or researching it, I felt like that's what you think of.
Yeah. And like going through like the first, I don't know. I feel like still, if I see somebody healthy, do you guys do this too? Like I'll see somebody healthy, like, like at Dylan's wrestling match. I was like, I wonder what she manages. I said that to the car and Carlos was like, I was like, you don't do that. Don't you wonder, like, if you see somebody in a wheelchair, you don't like, he's like, no, never. And I was like, well, she definitely has spinal bifida. Like, like, how you like look at something, you're like, well, they have a shorter torso. Like, I always do that, right? Like, I don't know. Do you guys do that when you see somebody in a wheelchair? You're like, I wonder.
Well, I don't really think about it. Well, I really don't think about like what they have.
Huh.
Yeah.
Just me, huh?
What? Need help, but I just don't think about like what they have. I don't think I ever have.
Whoa. Okay. So I do it all the time. And like, I do it at the VA all the time too. If I see somebody younger, and that's how I met a guy. Like, I literally was like, huh, you got MS, huh? And he's like, what? He's like, why? Is that how you introduce yourself? I'm like, no, I can tell. Like, I can tell. I was like, is that why you're here? And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, geez, I know. So I don't know if they look totally healthy. And I mean, obviously it could be like a spinal cord injury, but like, I don't know. For some reason, like, the wheelchair, that legs going out and looking totally healthy. Like that's one thing that I feel like a lot of people with MS manages leg issues.
Oh yeah.
So enter this new device that I just got from the VA. I'm so excited to talk about it. And it's actually not just for like, so if you're 100% rated in the VA, you can definitely ask for it. You just ask your neurologist for it. So it is funded through the VA. They'll pay for it. But if you're not a veteran, this is available. Like my girlfriend 4 houses down, she literally was like, well, let me look into it. She called her insurance and they're like, yep, we'll cover it. $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what do you have to have? Like, obviously there has to be coding for that to cover it. What is it?
Yeah. So she went to her neurologist. So the neurologist said absolutely for your foot drop. So I think anyone really with foot drop, I talking to the rep, she says most of her patients are stroke, Parkinson's, or MS. And so I think with my father, like he's just going to get it because he has foot drop, because he actually has he has 2 fake hips. He's had both hips replaced, and both ankles. So that could be another, maybe, if you have a father or, somebody with hip replacements, that's another maybe could be covered. It's definitely, something to ask. It's called the Bioness, so it's been around for a while. So it's BIONESS, and this one is called the L300 Go. And they actually, depending on where on your leg is kind of like where the misfiring is occurring, that's the device you're going to get. So you might not get the one that goes under the knee. You might have to use the one under the knee and the one on the quad. So I didn't qualify for that, the upper one. But just based on kind of, I don't know, they do kind of like they watch you walk and then
evaluation.
Yeah. And then they'll put it on, they'll determine whether you need both. And then they'll use their, sample one. And actually I thought of you, Tara. I was like, man, this would be really fun to rep, like to be a pharmaceutical rep for this company. Like,
well, I know actually, as you're saying this, Mike, my husband's entering into medical device, and he already took a job with it anyways. I was thinking, oh, that would actually be a cool thing. I should I should look into this.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. So Bioness. So anyway, so this is kind of what it looks like. These things, I think it's on right now. Hang on. Okay, so it's off. These things actually come off. So you have to replace these every 2 weeks, whether you're using them or not. And that's something that comes when you sign up for it. I think obviously if it's not covered, you probably have to pay for these. But that part is very, very important for the charge. And then it also like connects to, see how the lady's leg, there's nothing on her leg right now. Well, if I were to turn this on, you would see the device on her leg. So it actually connects to this Bluetooth device as well. You don't have to use that. You can use manually. You can just use this. But so it snaps on, snaps off. This part, you can wet the entire area. It has to stay, like I'm feeling it right now and it is wet. Obviously not like dripping wet, but you do have to, once you take it off and put it back on, you do have to make sure it's still wet. I had it off for hours, and Dylan last night, I was like, no, you got to see this. And I like kind of burnt myself a little bit. I was like, oh, I forgot I was supposed to like wet it. And it was like hurting really bad, but my foot was still coming up and turning, and I was like, isn't this so cool? And I did the second time, I was like, ow, so I took it off and there's like spots all over my leg. I was like, oh, my bad. So I just
didn't do the right, because you didn't okay.
Yeah, this has to be wet. So anyway, so you just like put it on. And what's interesting is this part right here. It doesn't necessarily go directly under your knee. So this is kind of part of her job, is to kind of like figure out where on your leg. Because if this was right in between my knee, my foot was actually coming up, but it was going inward. It was worse. And so we had to kind of like twist it a little bit. So like my knee is actually like right here. So it's kind of like twisted on my leg in order for my foot to come up and go out, so it's not dragging. So yeah, this is really, I mean,
interesting.
They give you like, you can't like go right away with it. So like by week 3, I can have it on all day and use it, but to kind of build up, your muscles that haven't been firing in a while, like definitely down by your foot, because it does bring it up. So like, here's my leg, here's my ankle, this area right here, it hurts so bad today because it's not used to coming up at all. Like I'm dragging, kind of dragging it along. So it's pretty, like I have like 2 sessions. They give you like what you're supposed to do for the next 4 weeks before you see them again. So like twice a day, you do like the practice. You can actually, there's actually like on the app, there's a walking. So down below it says, the walking, the cycling, and the training. So if you do the training, that's where it's going to come on I think it comes on for 5 seconds, and then it lets you go for 5 seconds. Then it comes on for 5 seconds. So you have to train up to that.
Building up that muscle endurance almost.
Yeah. So like today and tomorrow, it's like I already did 15 minutes for my day. But yesterday, I think that's another reason why it hurt. My leg hurt so bad, because I was showing everyone. I was so excited. So I definitely went over the 15 minutes yesterday. So it's really like crucial to kind of like pay attention to the time. Otherwise you get so excited. But I am going to walk with it for 15 minutes today. And then just kind of, there's like a chart. You can
kind of go into that a little bit. Like
so like you double tap the walking. So now, if this was on my leg, I'm going to turn it off. If that was on my leg, every time I lift my foot up or my knee, I bend my knee, it goes off. So it'll jerk. It'll do kind of what it's doing in the training. Like it'll bring my foot up and bring it out, like it's ready to take a step, but it does it before you take the step, obviously. So you do feel like the electromagnetic kind of shock. And the lower the shock, it goes from 1 to 10. She actually said like it's kind of cool that like my foot is coming up and coming out on a level 4 and a level 5. So I'm kind of messing around with the 4 and 5, hoping that I don't have to go above that, because she says sometimes, if the nerve damage is really bad, some people set it on a 10 and their foot's barely lifting. So obviously the device isn't going to really work for people that have that much damage, but she evaluates that, before you actually get the device.
Right.
So yeah, my default right now is 5, but you can always move it. I'm hoping that I can stay at 4. But yeah,
So like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you've already noticed a different, like, tell me like how it like benefits you?
yeah. So what's super strange, like, and I was telling my boyfriend on the phone before I went to bed last night, I was like, listen, I was able to walk up the stairs last night. He goes, well, you don't have the device on right now, do you? And I said, no. I said, but my knee was lifting like every step I took, like to come upstairs. And he's like, well, that makes sense. I'm like, what, after one day? Like, that is insane. So it's almost like he would use swear words, but he's almost like, the little guys in your leg are like, what the, like, wow, like we actually get to work again. Like they're like all excited, and they started working again, and now they just want to keep working. Like, who knows how long that's going to last. But like, it was shocking that just after maybe 45 minutes yesterday of wearing it, like they were alive at 10:30 last night, walking up the stairs.
Because normally, what does that look like for you?
Normally I'm hanging on to I'm still hanging on to the rail going upstairs. I'm not going to not use the rail, but I kind of drag the foot. Like I take a step with my left and then kind of hit the right toe as I'm coming up each stair.
Yeah.
And I didn't last night. So I thought that was very, like, obviously it's encouraging and exciting that, and then it also like brings into like her comments, like, oh, you'll be running before no time. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And I'm like, last night, I'm like, whoa, I mean, is that possible? Like, it's kind of exciting.
That is exciting. It's a miracle. Like, I will say, Nikki, when I went back and looked at your first time you even put this on and were exposed to this, and then started, trying it, using it, I was just moved by like the potential, like just the hope that it brought to you, and just what could be,
Yeah, it's pretty, because I do think the last 4 years I have gotten worse. I mean, I have. And my mom was recording me giving Dylan the car. We were getting out of the car, and like I was like holding his hand, telling him not to open his eyes. And I watched my gait and my walk. I like walk hunched over. Like I can't even stand up straight when I'm walking. And that was not the case three years ago. So just to kind of see like a visual of me yesterday on video, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get so much better than that. Like, that right leg affects everything, like everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
what would you say to the people listening? Like, obviously just all of our MS viewers, like, what do you think is the best thing? Like, if you are even like have any, kind of struggling with this, or like, like is it to go to your neurologist and just have a conversation about it? Is that the first step?
Yeah, I would say that was kind of like in the show, like what I described, what we were going to talk about today. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't know what drop foot is. Like, I don't even know what she's talking about. Well, I think that if you battle with being able to pick up one, and it's usually one or the other, it's not both.
Yeah.
If you battle being able to pick up a leg properly, like you can't, let's say you're just standing upright and you can't bring your knee up and down anymore. You probably, some of it could be balanced, but you're probably, dragging or compensating one leg for the other.
Right.
And so if that's the case, I would absolutely, I maybe call your insurance. I don't have regular insurance, so I don't know kind of what the protocol is, but if I had insurance, I would probably call them and say, hey, is this device, would this be covered with a referral from my neurologist? And even maybe leave that out if you're a viewer that doesn't have a neurologist. Maybe just call and see if the Bioness device is covered under your insurance.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Really
a good start.
advice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this could open up. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I have not heard of this device prior to you bringing exposure and light to it. So I can only imagine then, hopefully, our viewers that are listening to this podcast and, it just is like, wow, do some research, because I had not, even heard of it or known about it. Did you, Nick, Bobby?
No, I did. Like, it kind of makes me wonder, just because, TENS units exist, but I would never think of a specific device to help people walk. I think it's amazing. How long it's been out? It's been out for years, hasn't it?
Over a decade.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, I think this
Why?
is just
Well, why? Okay, then, Nikki, why hasn't your neurologist prior to that?
You have to ask for it. They don't know. They don't know. And this guy's like in his 70s. So the last time I saw him, I was actually like, man, I don't need to see you again. It's the same issue. I'm walking. Like, remember, he's like, well, there is a drug. Remember, he told me about a drug that blocks the calcium channels that can help with walking. And then I was like, wait a second, does it block it on every cell? Like, yes, it blocks it on every. I don't know if that's smart if I block every calcium receptor, every cell in my body. So I filled the prescription, but then I just didn't take it. So that was the one thing that he advised. So that's the thing about every medicine in general. Like, they don't know it all. So neurology doesn't know what physical therapy is doing. So physical therapy are the people that are the experts for stuff like this. If you think about it, this is gait, this is working, they're working their legs. This is the physical therapy world, not really the neurologist world. Yeah. So I can't be upset with the neurologist, because he knows the drugs for everything, for epilepsy, for MS, for Parkinson's, for all of the issues.
Right.
That, and plus I love him because he does what I say. Like, I love every doctor that's like, yes, do you. So I would say, like, your neurologist probably doesn't know about it until you bring it to them.
Yep.
Fascinating. Yeah. So, I even think about, I wonder, all of your the MS resource places out there, like the MS Society. I wonder if they shed light on things on this.
I don't know. I would say no, but I don't know. Yeah. Just because it's not a drug.
Yeah. So interesting. Ugh, drugs.
Yeah. Again, it's not a drug, and it's one of those things where, remember when they were doing what were they doing in the back of the neck? There's a vein, or no, is it an artery, a major artery? Remember, they were doing things on MS patients. It was called, oh God, I feel like this was a decade ago. And I looked into it, and the MS world wanted nothing to do with it. They're like, we won't say whether this helps or doesn't help.
Right.
Yeah. And my friend in Houston, she actually went and got it done. Now, it's because there's supposedly in MS patients, there's some sort of blockage. What's that main artery that goes into your brain?
Carotid artery?
Carotid, correct.
Okay, yeah.
So what they were finding is that MS, people that manage MS, that carotid artery was, it was too narrow. The blood wasn't getting through when they would do scans on people managing MS that were having issues walking. And so by inserting, and you had to go to Mexico to go get it, and she did it. So by inserting something into the back of your neck, it would open up that artery and allow more blood flow. Now, it helped her for a couple of years, and then it started to go back. So, I mean, it's kind of stuff even this, the reason I brought that up is the MS world and neurologists, that's not their thing. They're like, that's hands off. That's radiology. That's a radiology thing. So it just goes to show that you kind of have to search on your own for things that just make sense. And I think had I not heard of Ten's unit, maybe I wouldn't have kind of been digging. And then also a girlfriend that I was in the army with, she's the one that sent me the information about this. So if it weren't for her sending me stuff on Facebook to look into this other company that the neurologist is like, you don't want that. That's a full leg sleeve. We have one that just, goes around your knee. And I'm like, you do?
Sign me up.
Like, why didn't you tell me about this? So yeah, it's a little bit of, just being open and vulnerable on social media as well, because there's people out there that know more than you. And she gave me the information to look into it.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I will include in the show notes. I'll write all this out so you can click on it. You can see. You can call your insurance, see if it covers it. And yeah, I think that it's a little pricey, but if you saw what I posted on social media of the foot actually lifting and turning, like it's literally doing that without me doing anything, I think it's worth the money if it actually will lift your foot and move it in. And I promise I showed you it does. So
yeah, because it's quality of, it's life like changing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a cane right now, because most people with canes, that's their issue. They can't lift the leg.
Right.
So
Crazy. So cool.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that you shared that. I hope that people check this out and comment if they have questions about it.
Yeah, definitely. And then as always, if you need any help, if you're not, if you are a veteran and you're not currently rated, we can always help you with that as well. If you don't know what that means and you manage MS, you need to know what that means because it will benefit you tremendously financially. So, all right, ladies.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
I hope you feel better.
Yeah, feel better, girl.
I'm going to try.
Oh, gosh. Time will heal.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye.